Welcome back to Matthews Ballistics. Today, coming out here and we're at the range and we're going to retest some of this Aguila 140 grain FMJs. This time we're only shooting at 100 yards. I'm not going to take it out to 300 like we did last weekend. But we're going to try to see if we can tighten the groups up on this using this EC tuner brake. And also I've changed two, I've gone to using a bipod instead of shooting from the sled, so that's probably going to affect a couple things. But last weekend, my recorded groups, and these are all 10-shot groups, but I had a 2 MOA group, a 1.8 MOA group, a 1.5 MOA group, and a 1.8 MOA group, all at 100 yards. So roughly 1 3/4 inch to 2 inch groups, which is not good, but this is just some 140 grain FMJ ammunition. They're not match rounds by any means. And one thing we did notice last weekend after shooting for quite a while is that the gun seems to like to be swabbed after every 20 rounds. Like run a patch through it, and that actually resulted in much better accuracy out at 200 and 300 yards. With the best group of the day being at 300 yards, I shot one group of 5 rounds, and it shot about a 1.5 inch group at 300 yards, which was about 0.5 MOA, and then I shot a I want to say a 0.3 MOA group, which measured right around 1 inch at 300 yards. So that was really amazing shooting for just a plain, fairly inexpensive rifle. But now I've added this brake to it, and so I've got actually re-zero now because I had zeroed at 300 yards, and now I'm going to re-zero for back to 100 yards. And then I'm going to mess with the tuner on this brake and get it lined out and see if we can get the groups a little tighter. Hopefully want to get them consistently about a 1/2 inch at 100 yards would be nice. Alright, so this is the first 4 shots. This is without adjusting anything. All I did was I adjusted my elevation down 18 clicks from my 300 yard zero, and it put me right around the area I wanted it to be. Looks like I'm getting a nice little group over here off to the right, just a little bit right and a little bit low. This one around right here, I'm not sure. That was my second shot. My first shot was over here, second shot, and then the next two were real tight together. So from here, I think I'm going to start actually adjusting the tuner and see if we can get this even smaller. So my next aiming point, I'm going to either probably going to aim it here at this cross right here and see, and it should group again over to the left and a little bit, or over to the right and a little low. But I'm going to start adjusting the tuner and to see if we can get this to become one ragged hole. But again, I'm also not using the lead sled today. My dad's going to be using that. So right now, just got a little bit of some tuning to do and see how it works. So according to the instructions, we should just turn this so we get it lined up with the second notch there, and then we'll fire a couple shots and see if that changes much. Alright, so we adjusted from the 0 mark to the number 2 mark, and our group kind of opened up a little bit, it looks like. I don't know, this is kind of weird. It's all in a straight line. Most of the time it's not like that. The first round hit exactly where I wanted it to hit. That was my first shot, and then the next two, and then the third or fourth shot there. So that opened up quite a bit. So we're gonna move it on to number 4 setting and see what that does. And now we've arrived at setting number 4. So this is actually a 4-shot group. There's 3 holes. That is a 4-shot group. That is exactly what I was looking for. So this thing is, that tuner works. This is what I was getting consistently about like this and like this, but that is proof right there. This thing works amazing. And this is shooting off a bipod too. I'm not even shooting it out of a lead sled like I was the other day where I was grouping about like this. That is what it's supposed to do. That is really cool. And that is with Aguila 140 grain FMJs. They're not even target loads or match loads. They're just basically plinking ammunition. And when I was shooting them last weekend, I chronographed them. I shot 80 rounds of it, and depending on the box that I got or was shooting from, they chronographed anywhere from 2,560 feet per second, with some of them even over 2,700 feet per second. So some of them had like a, depending on the box, were about 200 foot per second difference in velocity. So I'm not chronographing these today. I just wanted to check this tuner out. I didn't want to be messing around with too many variables while I'm doing this. But that right there is awesome. So I'm going to try to get my point of aim up a little bit, because I was aiming here and hitting here. So I'm going to try to go, say, 1 click over to the right or to the left, and then bring it up 2 clicks high and see. And I'm going to re-aim right here and see what our next group is. Alright, so this is that next 4-shot group, and it doesn't look so good at the same setting that this one was shot at. So I'm not sure if I need to change settings again, or also another thing is it's getting about to that, we're getting closer to that 20 round mark where I was swabbing my barrel out, which resulted in a better consistency every 20 rounds. So this is rounds 13 through 16 here at the same setting that this round was shot at. So maybe rounds 9 through 12 are going to be the best out of this rifle. And now if I swab and then see what happens again, I think that's what I'm going to do. But of course, it did bring when I changed my settings, it brought my point of impact back over to where I wanted it to be, which was, pretty close to there. So now I'm going to shoot one more four round group before I swab right here and see if we can get something more consistent with this. Well, I don't know what's going on, because now my group it's like I get 3 shots that are close together and then 1 out. I get 3 shots that are close together and 1 out. I get 3 shots that are close together and 1 out. I get 3 shots that are close together and 1 out. So it's kind of weird. Every group is the same. I get 3 that are close and then 1's off. 3 that are close and 1 off. So So as you can see, we're having a little bit of difficulty, and I think it could be a few different factors. The one being 140 grain Aguila FMJs, and like I said before, depending on the box, this ammunition was off by as much as 200 feet per second per round. So it was like you get a box and you'd open it up and the whole box would shoot have an extreme spread of about 50 feet per second. I think I had one box with an extreme spread of about 10 feet per second, which was fantastic, but it's not repeatable because the next box I opened had an extreme spread of like 35 or 40 feet per second, but it was also shooting another 110 foot per second faster. So their ammunition's I guess store-bought ammo is not proving to be very consistent box to box. So I guess they come from several different lots of ammunition loaded at several different points in time, and I just lucked out and ended up with a bunch of ammo that was all from different lots, which is okay. It's just plinking, just practice ammo. But when you're trying to really dial in a tight group, it's not really the type of ammo you want to use, because it's gonna probably give you that false sense of, man, something's wrong with my gun or something's wrong with me, and it could be as simple as, well, it's just the ammo. But also and that was the deal. We had one group that was really, really good, really perfect, and then the next two groups were terrible compared to that. So another thing could be the barrel heat. As we're shooting at the last couple groups, I kind of let off pretty quick on, and that probably has a lot to do with it. And as I noted, there were several, you could actually see each group had the same thing going on with it. The same characteristic was 3 of the rounds would be fairly close together, and then 1 round would be outside of the group. So shooting the 4-shot groups, it seems like it's with this ammunition that's going to be the general case. Now I can give it a little bit longer in between shots and try to let the barrel cool a little more, and maybe have that might help. But we're gonna see. I'm gonna shoot one more target, and then we're gonna have some fun. Me and my dad are gonna compare our 6.5s together, and we're gonna have a little shooting competition. I want to go ahead and say that with this ammunition, with as different as it is in velocity wise, I think that's what we're seeing here. Because left to right, they're all pretty tight together, but up and down is where it's changing, and I think that has probably something to do with the ammunition being not very consistent in velocity. So comparing my shot groups using this ammo and then the shot groups shot out of my dad's rifle, they're pretty much consistently the same. I think that it's just the ammo is poor for what it is. So got one box of Hornady match, some ELD 140 grain bullets, which is what we're shooting out of the Aguila's 140 grain FMJ, and I'm going to see if this will change the group size. I'm going to leave the settings the same. I know my point of impact is probably going to change because these bullets were made by a different company, and every time you change brands of ammunition, even if they're the same weight, the same bullet design, your point of impact is probably going to change. So I'm going to just see if the group gets tighter. That's my goal for this. So I'm going to go ahead and say that it is definitely the Aguila ammo is the problem. See, the 1, 2, 3, and 4, that was all the Aguila 140 grain. The only thing I did different was I switched to the Hornady 140 grain ELD match ammo, and clearly it's the ammo. It's not me, it's not the gun, it's not my setup, it's the ammo. So that is a huge difference. Now we're gonna have a little bit of a shooting competition. We got one of these targets, this battleship game target set up down there at 100 yards. We're going to go back and handicap ourselves with the Aguila ammunition and try to see how that works out. Clearly, it's not great for target shooting. I mean, if you're just wanting to ring steel with it, if you just want to hit a steel gong or something, be perfectly fine with that, you know, even out to 300-400 yards. But as far as trying to do any precision shooting, like hitting one of these little dots with it, it's going to be real interesting to see how it results and if we can even play this game with this ammunition. But we're going to try. So with this Aguila ammunition, clearly it's consistently all over the place. So we're going to move this game from 100 yards up to 50 and finish playing from there.
I got it pretty good for just something like that.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, considering the ammunition we're using,
Pretty good.
it wasn't bad. We moved to 50 yards, but it's just that ammunition was consistently not very good accuracy wise. But I don't know, what do you think about that brake on there? Do you think it made a difference?
That brake's working.
Yeah, I think it does too, especially with the Hornady ammo.
How's recoil?